Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are live with 3 Google engineers who are hosting interns this summer. My name is Juliana, and I'm an intern recruiter here at Google. Before we get started with our chat today, I wanted to go over a couple of logistics. You can turn on closed captions using the CC button towards the bottom of the screen. Since this is a live event, please bear with us if we experience any technical difficulties. You will have the opportunity to ask questions that are top of mind, and we'll answer your questions here live at the end of the discussion. You can submit your questions through the blue Ask Your Questions Here button at the bottom left of the video screen at any time. There's also a chat box to the right for you to share reactions or connect with others in the audience that have joined this event live as well. We have some amazing chat moderators who are also able to answer any questions live there as well. So, to kick us off, here's a little bit about today's live chat. We want to go over some of our frequently asked questions, let our engineers talk about the organizations, give their advice, and give you the opportunity to ask them questions. These 3 intern managers have already found their interns for this summer and are excited to try to help you get matched to a project. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce myself and our engineers. As I mentioned before, my name is Juliana, and I'm an intern recruiter here at Google. I've been at Google for about 4.5 years, and I sit in our Boulder, Colorado office. I'm excited to be your host for today's call, and next, I'm going to let our engineers introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Maruf. I'm a software engineer at Google Cloud Platform, or GCP. I'm based out of Kirkland, Washington. I've been a full-time employee in the OneFleet org, which is part of the GCP, for about 4 years. Before my full-time role, I was a 2-time intern at Google, working with the Hangouts chat team and the compiler optimization team. Next up, Zach.
Hey everybody, my name is Zach, and I'm a software engineer at YouTube. I've been at Google for 8 years, and I sit in YouTube's headquarters in San Bruno. I'm excited about working on user experiences that inspire and delight. And our third engineer is Chen Yang.
Hi, my name is Chen Yang. I have been working at Google for 3 years. I'm a software engineer at Google Core PA. I'm based in Sunnyvale, San Francisco Bay Area, where our team focuses on providing data acquisition and other services for different teams across Google. Yep.
So, thank you all so much for introducing yourselves, and I'm glad to have you here so we can have a chat today. I want to start off with some of our most frequently asked questions. We did receive a ton of questions about the software engineering internship program, and some of them are a bit more recruiting focused. After that, we'll switch over to me asking our intern managers some questions about project search and their product areas.
Sounds great. Juliana, I have a deadline with another company. Can you expedite the internship process?
We can certainly try. The project search process does take a while for it to run its course, sometimes up to 8 weeks. So let your recruiter know the specifics, and we'll work together to find the best plan.
And how detailed should I be when filling out the project preference questionnaire?
Definitely be thorough. So include all relevant skills, coding experience, projects, internships, and research work.
Can I read you or see my questionnaire answers?
Absolutely. You can update it anytime. You should have received a confirmation email with an edit link. Use that link to make any changes. The email you received it from was forms-receipts-no-reply@google.com.
Am I guaranteed an offer if I move to project search?
The process is still quite competitive. Many candidates don't find a project, but we believe in your potential and will do our best to find a match.
How long does the project search process take?
It varies, but usually 6 to 8 weeks. It depends on how well your skills align with our available projects. If an intern manager is interested in speaking with you, your recruiter will reach out. Okay, thanks all. Now let's change gears a little bit. I'm going to ask you 3 some questions. The first one is, I know some of you mentioned the PAs or product areas that you work in. Could you share a little bit about what you do in this area in a bit more detail and the types of skills that you look for in an intern candidate? For our viewers, I will say that we are looking for many different skills from all different PAs across Google. So note that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution to getting a project.
Sure. So let me talk about first. I'm working in Google Core PA. Our team provides data acquisition services for different teams across Google. We maintain our projects, add new features, and handle custom projects for specific tasks. Since our backend is mainly built in Java, we are looking for candidates who have strong Java skills, especially in asynchronous programming. Given our work involves acquiring data from different sources, experience in network programming is also necessary. Additionally, a background in data processing is also valuable, as candidates may need to implement some data transformations. The ideal candidates should be adaptable, able to troubleshoot real-world issues in data acquisition, and comfortable working with different transfer protocols and storages. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And for me, this past year, I joined YouTube XR, a team focused on bringing the best that YouTube has to offer to VR and AR headsets. I specifically work on bringing YouTube to the Apple Vision Pro. So I'm primarily working in Swift and Apple's suite of frameworks such as Swift UI, Reality Kit, etc. In addition, YouTube has a number of internal technologies that help drive the YouTube experience you know and love. Those are written primarily in C++. YouTube is happy to have all different varieties of interns, but the primary thing we're looking for is someone who isn't afraid to jump into a new tech stack and get their hands dirty. If you haven't had a chance to work in C++ before, don't worry. I hadn't either until I joined. Nowadays, we have a number of tools like our AI IDE integrations to make picking it up really easy. Additionally, I'm always looking for interns who took the time to build their own front end for a project. If you have shown that you care about UX and building an interface that delights, then you'll stand out. Maruf, what do you think?
Sure. I work for a team named Chargeback, which is part of the OneFleet org in GCP. So Google has about 9 products with at least 1 billion users. So you could only imagine the scale and magnitude of our services. As Google services are growing in terms of usage and traffic, so is our operational expenditure and capital expenditure. Therefore, we need to be more judicious in terms of how we procure the compute, storage, and network infrastructure and the proper utilization of the existing infrastructure we have. That is where our team fits in. We process exabytes of data ranging from services profiles to Google's financial data to produce actionable insights so that we could plan and grow our infrastructure properly. We build a lot of ETL, data pipelines, data acquisition microservices, and alerting and monitoring for data quality. And in terms of skills we require for an intern or even full-time is proficiency in one or more programming languages, query languages like SQL or BigQuery, and really just problem solving and analytical skills.
Great. Thank you all so much. Sounds like you're working on some really interesting projects. So next question is, what are the top of mind technologies emerging in your product area? And are there any trends that you're seeing? Zach, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. My daily routine has really been augmented by AI. I think that if you have exposure to some of those IDE integrations like GitHub Copilot, that would be great. Also, my PA has been spending a lot of time with the new augmented reality frameworks that have been released by Meta, Apple, and others. If you want to do front-end development, getting any exposure to these AR frameworks will only benefit you if spatial computing takes off at least. How about you, Maruf?
Sure. Most of the tools, infrastructure, and technologies we use are related to processing, storing, and ingesting data. And a lot of them are in-house broadly, but broadly we're seeing in the industry is trending towards data warehousing, data lake, and data lakehouse technologies to produce enterprise data marts. What do you think, Jinyan?
Yes, of course. I think AI is the major focus for Google now. That Specifically, in our PA, this means working on custom projects for different AI teams that developing customized features and new tools to support their specific needs. For example, such for our team that how to acquire different kinds of training data, and also how to make the training data ready for the different models, especially the new large language models. Yeah.
Great. Next question is, when you selected your intern, what stood out to you during the call with them?
So to me, what stood out the most is a growth mindset and enthusiasm about the problem we're trying to solve. As I mentioned before, a lot of our tools and infrastructure we use in Google are proprietary, which requires a learning curve. So as long as a candidate who's not afraid of learning new things and asking a lot of questions when required, I think that candidate is a very strong one. What's your opinion, Zach?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If you're okay getting your hands dirty, asking questions, you'll do well. Also, I personally get excited when I hear from somebody who is passionate about front-end development or user experiences. Don't be afraid to share that in a Google interview. Even though we're all about big data, thinking about the user is one of our core values. Chen Yan?
Yeah, so what impresses me most during an interview is a candidate's deep understanding of their past projects and the technologies they have used. A strong candidate isn't just someone who has used the technology, but someone who truly understands it. Additionally, as Maruf and Zach mentioned earlier, the ability to learn new technologies and tools is always very important.
Very interesting. Chenyang, you mentioned personal projects. Do you recommend our viewers take on personal projects outside of the classroom? Or how could they implement some of the things that we've talked about today into their classwork to help them stand out?
I think personal projects are definitely helpful in picking up new skills and applying the theories that are learned in classroom into something practical. I think a candidate who has a good or open source personal project or even an open source contribution definitely stands out. But with that said, there are many ways to um, have a strong profile, including programming contests, hackathons, academic achievements, or even research. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, personal projects really give you a chance to show what you're passionate about. So I spend more time looking into what a candidate's personal projects are than their coursework because it allows me to see what gets them excited. For example, for me, if you want to work in VR, then do a personal project in VR. Tenyan?
Yeah, so I recommend focusing on the areas you are interested in for your future career, but don't have opportunity to explore in coursework. Since we've always preferred the candidates who has experience aligns with our projects. Personal projects can be a great way to gain relevant experience, especially in some new areas not covered by your coursework. Uh, and as for the course project, um, I suggest taking the time to fully understand what you are building. Many people in the university simply follow the instructions of their professors and teachers to complete assignments, but miss the deeper insights, such as underlying principles, the specific rule of some technology used, why those technologies are chosen, and how they compare uh, to the current technologies used by the companies. Using cross projects are also good opportunities to explore related concepts which can make a big difference.
Thanks, y'all. One final question. Can you tell us what a project for an intern might look like in your product area? Or what are the expectations for an intern?
So for our team, although our team has many projects to do, we carefully select internship projects to ensure they are well suited for interns. We choose tasks that don't require deep knowledge of our architecture, making it easier for interns to get started. We also usually choose a relatively independent set of feature requirements. The project must be technically meaningful and noticeable impact and involve enough code to showcase the intern's work. We also ensure the scope is just right, neither too large or too small, so it can be completed within the internship time. Our expectation for the intern is that intern can successfully deliver the project. Yeah. So how do you think of Maruf?
Almost the same. The expectation from an intern is to implement a small and content project that has some business value, as well as that also presents the intern an opportunity to learn new skills and gain new experiences. For instance, in our work, there are a lot of critical alerting and monitoring systems to ensure the data quality, and some of them are not so reliable. So, a very good internship project can be to build new tools and dashboards to improve the reliability and reduce engineering toil. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I like what both of you have said here. For my team, we like to give the interns something that they'll have a good chance of launching before to users before the end of their internship. Normally, that means finding a small to medium-sized feature to introduce to an existing product. For example, on my team, we might ask you to add a new button to the YouTube app, launch it, and then analyze its performance.
Great. I think our viewers have found all of this information super helpful and interesting. I know I have found it all very interesting. For now, I actually want to open up the floor to our viewers. So it seems like y'all have been asking some questions throughout the session, so we'll go ahead and answer some of those. As a heads up, our live folks aren't able to see the chat box, so if you do have a question and want that answered live here today, make sure that you use the blue Ask a Question button to submit that question. Okay, we'll go ahead and kick it off. This first question from Omar is great and is for me to answer, I believe. So, is it okay to reach out to Google Suite managers on LinkedIn and inquire on joining their team? It's a really great question. I get this one a lot. Generally, we don't encourage you to reach out to intern managers directly on platforms like LinkedIn or other ways. Our team has a really great process to ensure that we're finding the best project for you and the best match for you. So reaching out to managers on other external platforms can delay that process. So generally, again, we ask that you don't reach out to Google managers directly. Daniel also has a great question for the engineers now. In the questionnaires algorithms and theory section under existing skills, what specifically does this refer to? Does it focus on applied algorithmic work such as geospatial algorithms, algorithm optimization, or advanced algorithms? Or is it more about theoretical knowledge typically covered in data structures and algorithms courses? Anyone want to take this one?
I can go first. So for the interviews that I'm conducting for front-end engineers, this usually would just be to make sure that you have a basic grasp of that coursework that you've gotten in school on data structures and algorithms. Implement breadth first search or something would be like a pretty basic level intro interview question. Obviously, it's more complicated questions that could be asked in your interviews. But once that like baseline understanding is established, then I'd be more interested in asking interview questions about like your front end engineering work as a follow up. I think if you're interested in front end, then I'm like not going to be as focused on like how much more abstract and like theoretical knowledge you have baked into your brain.
Yeah, so for me, that I think algorithms and data structures are very basic things for the backend engineers. So the interview questions about the algorithms and the data structures can be very generic. But for the internship match interview as an intern host, that I prefer to ask some detailed questions about their project to make sure if their experience match my project requirement, and if they have that how well about their skills and technologies on this area.
Kind of agree with Chen Yang and what Chen Yang and Zach said before. When I'm looking for a candidate, I'm looking for someone who knows basic algorithms that are taught in algorithm and data structure classes, and someone who could also translate those concepts and ideas into workable code. It doesn't have to be applied in a particular project. A lot of the times people don't have the scope and opportunity to apply those algorithms into a specific project yet. But as long as they have the understanding and they can translate that ideas into code, I'm happy with it. And regarding when I'm recruiting an intern for my specific project, my project involves a lot of data processing and data analysis. So I'm looking for someone who has some exposure to work with a large volume of data.
I want to add one more thing, which is that the level of the internship that you're like applying for drastically impacts what the expectation is. So like a graduate interviewing for a full-time position, there is an expectation of expertise that would not necessarily exist during an intern interview. If you're like, oh, I've heard of this from my friends who are in years above me, my algorithms class is like split up across multiple semesters or something. We haven't gotten to touch trees yet. Like you are not going to be instantly eliminated if you haven't gotten to it in your coursework yet. So just want to like make sure nobody's freaking out if they just like haven't been exposed to it yet.
Thank you, everyone. The next question here is from Akshat. If my most notable experience is in backend, should I mainly describe this in detail in the questionnaire?
Sure, I can take up the question first. Definitely, if your most prominent experience is in the backend, try to be as detailed as possible. But with that said, if I were you, I would also write details about all the projects and courses that I've taken, everything that is relevant for an internship, whatever you think it is. Try to be as thorough and detailed as possible. And as Juliana mentioned before, the more data you have in the questionnaire form, the easier for the host to understand your skill set and also your interest, so that they could place you in a project where you're likely to be successful.
Yeah, so additionally, I think that another thing for the questionnaire about the details is that you may need to put the efficient information. Think of what kind of information is efficient here, such as for as an intern host, when looking for the interns that I quickly look at the questionnaires, the description of intern candidates' experience. That the time may be very fast, so some keywords may be very important here, such as network programming, such as data transformation, and some tools which are very generic on the market is also very important to make an intern host be interested in your experience. Yeah.
I'm gonna rely on what Maruf and Chen Yang said here.
Great. Okay, next question is, what questions should I ask during the interview process? What qualities should the interviewer usually want to see? I know you all mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but is there anything else that really stands out to you during a project search interview, or anything that, again, makes a really great candidate in your eyes?
Sure. Yeah, I can start. I think that the person who is curious about what the team is working on and Like if you're able to kind of come in with a baseline of knowledge that allows you to ask some more questions, and it doesn't have to be like if I'm talking about front end development, I'm not expecting you to instantly know the framework I'm talking about and be able to ask intelligent questions. But if you're just expressing interest, I think that's really positive. I also think that if you can ask like what types of stuff should I learn if I want to pursue this internship next summer, or if I want to pursue this as a career even without the internship, like what would you recommend me follow up or do outside of class? Asking those kinds of questions that clearly shows that you're interested in the project, you're interested in the frameworks, and you're interested in building that into your career. I think that's really positive.
Yeah, so I would say definitely ask a lot of questions, as many questions as possible during the interview. But I think there are a few specific questions you might ask that really helped me when I was looking for a host during my internship. Is A is like how well scoped the project is, because if the project is too ambiguous, then you might be facing a lot of challenge finishing it in a 3 to 4 months internship. And the second most important question, in my opinion, is to align on how to work effectively with your host manager. A very good example is when I was an intern, my host preferred that I spend about 30 minutes in figuring out something before asking him a detailed feedback or questions. That way I could also learn by myself a lot. So having that expectations to be aligned during a host matching interview, I think may really set you up for success.
Yeah, so as for my opinion, I think I prefer the candidate. I prefer to ask the details of some other things to know to know how deep the candidate work in their project. I think the candidates who answered that I worked in a network programming project, so that means I have network programming experience is maybe not good. One good example is that such as I have I worked on a network programming project, and for this kind of challenges that I resolved it in this way, and based on this kind of challenge that I designed such kind of pipeline. So such kinds of detailed answers can leave a very good impression on the interviewer.
Great. Thank you all so much. One last question from Rohini. What tech stack are AI or ML teams looking for?
I do not have the expertise to answer that question, unfortunately.
I can roughly answer this question. So AI ML teams are the domain is really vast. There are a lot of different teams that works on AI and ML. Like indirectly, our team also works at AI and ML, but we're more at the infra side. So one thing we have to keep in mind is that it's not like a monolith domain. There's a lot of different expertise and different tech stacks that are used in the teams that work on directly applied AI or ML, or maybe working with the theory of AI and ML, or maybe working on infrastructure that powers those AI and ML.
Yeah, so as for my team, my team is responsible to acquire all kinds of training data for Google's different AI teams and make them ready for the AI training. So, but from my perspective, is a very generic things that how to acquiring how to getting the data and how to transforming the data and how to transform forming the data based on the machine learning team's requirements. I think one thing that can make your your work better is that if you have some machine learning experience, that you can make the training data better for the machine learning teams, such as the machine learning teams already have some AI training machine learning experience, and for some people who are working on the training data, they already have some data processing experience. If you can have both, if you can have knowledge and experience on both sides, you may put forward some more new ideas and new designs, make it better. Yeah.
Awesome. I really want to thank Maruf, Chenyang, and Zach for joining us live today. I know all of our candidates really appreciated your knowledge and your expertise. I also want to thank you, viewers, for tuning in today. We're so happy that you joined us, and you'll also be receiving a survey after this, so please fill it out so that we're able to make more content that is relevant and helpful for you. Lastly, if you want to stay connected, don't forget to visit google.com/students, and please continue registering for our on-demand content and upcoming events with Careers on Air at g.co/careersonair. Thanks again for tuning in today.